Hello guys, hello and welcome. Hope you're all keeping well. Guys, obviously if you've seen the previous video, we had a wee quick look at the Rotor Riot Hd1 frame, and in this video here obviously we have the DJI system. A bit of a game changer for lots of people, and me being me, I couldn't help myself but jump on that hype train, you know. So lo and behold, here we go. I now have the DJI system, the controller, the goggles and the air unit, so I've got the whole package. We'll try and keep this as short as possible, but basically we're going to be building this. I'm not going to be programming it through Betaflight and showing you all that sort of stuff, but we're just going to build this here frame and have a wee quick look at the final build, and then the next video then we'll do a wee bit of Betaflight and a bit of a flight test. So guys, obviously if you're wanting to build this, the DJI HD system, you're going to want to get yourself a good 5-inch frame. This frame here is made with the DJI Fpv system in mind, where there's a bit of room at the back to support the air unit. And it's a wee bit close to the flight controller. I've already had a wee quick look. Now it is a wee bit tight, but we will make it fit because plenty of builds here have made more stuff fit, so it shouldn't be a problem. So you're going to want to get yourself a decent frame that can happily take it. If you're new to building, I suggest that you go for a 5-inch frame. Other frames are about there that'll take it, but if you can, go for something that you know is definitely going to take the air unit. Obviously, so you need the frame. You're going to need obviously the DJI air unit with its 2 antennas. You're going to need that part. You're going to need to get yourself some sort of flight controller, and in this build here we're going to use the KAKUTE F7 flight controller. This one here is the HDV, and this actually has a wee connection on the back of it here which accepts the DJI FPV system plug, so it's plug and play, no soldering to the receiver. Basically you plug it in and it should talk to the flight controller, the air unit, and this should talk. So the only thing you will need to do is loop your wire down to an ESC of your choice, whatever you want to use, and then solder the wires for your motors onto the ESC. And for this build we have got the matching TEKKO 32-bit 4-in-1 ESC, which a drop but a caught. This is the matching ESC for this flight controller, so we'll put them in a stack. We'll put the ESC down first, then we will have the flight controller on top. The wiring loom connects to the ESC, and everything should talk together, and then obviously you have your motors coming from the ESC. This should be pretty straightforward. Frame, standoffs, probably going to want to use 4 screws about 30 to 35 mil long up through the frame. Space it out, drop the ESC down on top, lock it up with lock nuts, flight controller on top of that, plug it all together, bish bash bosh, and hopefully that will be it, almost ready for maiden flight. Obviously on this build here I'm using the VORTEX 2207 2650 kV motors. They look nice motors, nothing really special about them. They do look nice, but there is other motors out there. You can pick any motor you want. Well, it's going to be, this is for 4S, so if you're running 4S you're going to be wanting to run somewhere between 2200 kV and 2750 kV. If you're going to be running 5S, you want to keep that kV low, down to maybe 2200 up to a maximum of 2400. And if you're running 6S you're going to be probably wanting to look about 1600 kV to 1800 kV, somewhere around that sort of figure. We're going to try and make this build nice and tidy as we can. This build here I'll be covering the wires with some PVC, it's fake carbon fibre look-alike sort of sheathing, a wee bit of heat resistant sleeving at the ends to tidy it up over the wires and stuff like that. So yeah, it should be good, so stick around. Nothing too hard guys. If this is the first time build, it's not that difficult. You know, it really isn't. For most of you, probably soldering is going to be, if this is brand new to you all, which many of you it isn't, but soldering is probably the bit that catches a lot of people out, you know. I normally run the soldering iron, sorry, just keep this quick. On my soldering iron, I normally run 450 degrees centigrade, 450 degrees C. Use 60-40 rosin core electrical solder. I don't use flux pen and I don't use flux paste. Just use the rosin core flux that's in the solder wire. And just make sure all the joints are clean, and tin all the pads and tin all the wires before I do any soldering, and then I'll make the solder joint and join it together. And Bob's your uncle, that's normally it done. And I've never had any trouble in all the years I've been soldering. I've never had any trouble. Right guys, here we go. We'll take it up to the next camera, right? Right guys, hopefully you can see and hear me okay. So here we'll have the frame, and I'll have it built obviously from the previous video. What you want to do, obviously strip the top plate off it. So first thing I'm going to do is have a wee quick look at the air unit. Never installed this air unit before in my life, so here we'll have the air unit with its wee antennas and the wiring on it. Not too sure what way exactly going to fit this here on. Probably double-sided tape holding it down onto the frame. We'll maybe pull the wee plug off for now too. This wiring loom comes with the KAKUTE F7 flight controller, the HDV, so that wee cable there, keep it safe for your flight controller and stuff. I think we'll take off the antenna part first here. I need to pop the antennas off the air unit. So obviously I think we'll got the TPU parts and we'll put our antennas in here now, because the antennas go in there. Just trying to look at this, you want to keep that, obviously it's going to go into the quad like that, and the wee antennas is going to go into the back of the air unit, so you want to try and keep it so it's all square, so you want them facing out because you don't want to twist the wire. I don't know if it matters which one's left or right on the back of the air unit. I think they're much the sameness. What's actually happening on the back of the air unit, there's a wee ridge here, and the antenna connections is actually hitting the ridge. I'm wanting to pop them out, so there's a wee bit of heat resistant sleeving which is just making it a wee bit thicker, and my thinking is if I cut that wee bit of sleeving off there where it's touching, it might pop in a bit better. That's my thinking anyway. Oh yeah, and it worked. That's what I wanted. There, it clicked in. It did click in. So that's where I'm going to want to put the air unit, right on the smack bang on the back. So on the back of the air unit, I'm going to stick this down with double-sided sticky foam for now anyway. I want to place a bit of sticky foam on it. Afterwards, whenever this is fitted on and more or less built, we can put something maybe around the frame if we need to. But for now, we've got the foam on the bottom here. The antennas are plugged in. So my thinking is we'll get this all down on one go here. Trying to keep everything as straight as possible, as square possible. Ta-da! There we go. So there's the air unit on, and it actually worked not too bad. It's a bit hard, it's a wee bit fiddly getting that TPU on with the antennas in it and get the air unit clamped down all at the same time while making sure that the antennas stay popped in. But that's in, it's down, it's on, and that's all we need to worry about. Right, so we'll screw the camera in place temporary for now as well. Obviously guys, if you're going to be doing this here and you're all new to it, you are going to need to get yourself a good half decent wee hex set, wee hex driver set with a range of different. This one here is a wee telescopic one with loads of different wee heads, tips for it, from hex, torques, planes, stars, Allen, just a whole range of different wee tips. And then whenever that wee one, whenever the long one is just a bit too long and thin for any sort of torque, I've got a wee stumpy handle driver for taking the same bits, and it just, for motor nut, for motors and stuff, it just helps. And I have another set with loads of other bits, very similar, and everything's interchangeable, but this is definitely a must for any quad. So get the camera in. Hopefully that's it, we'll line up the hole. Bugger, dropped it. Now these parts here, the TPU parts were all designed and printed, I think, by Rotor Riot. Probably take a wee bit of lining up. The 3D parts that came, they're not bad finished, they're alright. I've seen worse, but I've seen better as well. But guys, this is only a $44 frame. Don't forget, it's not a $100 frame, so if you order this HD1 frame from Rotor Riot, it's good quality, don't get me wrong, but just remember that it's a $40 frame. So there guys, there's the air unit installed already. Main unit, camera, wee cable going to the back. As you can see, there's plenty of length there, there's enough for it. The next thing we're going to do is get some screws here for standoffs. Get a ruler. This particular screw here is 30mm long. The thread part is 30mm. So pop that up through. So we're going to pop up the standoffs up through. We'll need to use spacers. This is another must-have, guys. Anybody working on this sort of stuff, you need to get yourself a wee kit of plastic nuts and screws, M3 with different spacers and stuff in it, with loads of nuts. You'll fire through the 3mm nuts. Get yourself a box of 3mm nuts. These wee ones here are 8mm standoffs, this one here, so I'm going to use 8mm standoffs in this for the ESC. Right, boom. So you do one. Once you do the first one, then go ahead and continue to do all four. So there we go, we've got the standoffs on now. We're up 8mm, which gives plenty of clearance. Might be a bit too much, hopefully not. Time I put the ESC on and then the flight controller. Just means the flight controller in this build is actually going to sit a little bit high compared to normal, just because the ESC is a little bit high. So we're just going to have a wee quick look at this to see what way this is going together. I'm not going to start soldering up just yet. I want to get everything on and make sure what I'm thinking in my head is definitely going to work. So wind them nuts down. So guys, that's the ESC on there, nice and tight. In here is going to be the battery connections for the ESC up to the mains battery connections up to the battery, obviously. Right, so we're looking for the flight controller now, and depending on what flight controller you use, it should come with a part wiring kit and some rubber dampers. So the ESC is down tight, and we're just installing the rubber dampers now, or the jellies, whatever you want to call them, into the holes in the flight controller. Right guys, so we'll have the wee jellies in the flight controller, and we're going to line it up under the four standoffs and press it down and see. There we go. And as you can see, we'll have a lot of space here between everything. But there's not going to be much wiring done. And whenever I put that lid on as well, as you can see there, that's the way it's going to sit. So yeah, that looks like it's going to do well. That does look like it's going to fit in there pretty good. Everything's in. That was easy. That was the easy bit, guys. That was the easy bit. So there you go. So that's the way you do it. So you mount the air unit and mount the antenna. You mount the antennas into the TPU part. Bring the SMA or the connectors, MMCX, whatever you want to call them, down through. Trim off a wee bit of heat resistant sleeving that's on them there, or heat shrink, and you have to sort of click them into the air unit and try and press everything all down to the back and down tight to the base and get everything stuck down all in one go. Once that's all down, then you can put your screws up through 30mm M3 screws up through on the 30x30 spacings and lock them down with an 8mm spacer, an M3 8mm spacer. Run that down tight and tighten up the screws. Then place on your ESC. If you want, you can turn your ESC round sideways and have the connections out the side. I'm not going to do that. Just preference really, but some people probably will. And then lock it down tight with a couple of wee nuts, and then place on your flight controller of choice. Ta-da! And it did. So far, guys, that's a painless build. It's not going too bad. Next thing we're going to do now is get the motors ready. Right, guys, so now that the frame's done and the ESC's on and stuff, the next biggest challenge is going to be the motor. Now, for me, the motors, I'm going to protect the motor. This is some PVC sort of nylon braid, carbon fibre effect braid, and I'm going to use that to put down the motor wires to sort of help protect the motor wires, and it's more for looks as well. So you're going to need some heat shrink, around about 10mm heat shrink. Cut some small pieces off. You're going to need 2 bits for each motor. You're going to need to cut. You're going to need to measure the bit of PVC braiding as well. You're going to need to measure that according to your motors and your frame and stuff. And you want to try and get your motor then, and get the 3 wires, and hopefully you should be able to get them wires down the inside of the braid. Sometimes it can be a wee bit tricky because the braid's just a wee bit tight, but once you get the wire through the other side, it shouldn't be too bad. There we go, we've got the motor wires, we've got the wires through. Once you have the wires through, you can pull it down. You want to pull it down to the point that wherever you've measured it. So once you have that down, then you want to get a bit of your heat sleeving, just a wee section. You want to sort of try and cover, you want something maybe about 15 to 20mm long over the braiding and down. You want to go down over till you're near the motor. And obviously, what have I got? I don't and have never ever used a heat gun. Maybe this is bad practice for newbies, I don't know, but I've been sort of doing this stuff for years with different things. Famous lighter, and you want to heat shrink your heat shrink, obviously. So it's one side done at the motor side, and then the next side will be the ESC side, the frame side. Ta-da! And there you can see already how much tidier that makes that look. You know, just a whole lot cleaner and tidier. Ta-da! So once you've done one, now you want to get all 4 done. Ta-da! Then as if by magic, all the 4 motors are all done. Nicely done. With a wee bit of fake carbon fibre braided. So that'll just all look nice and pretty. It'll help protect the wires as well too from the props. Whenever you have a crash and the prop bends down, instead of the prop slicing through, it'll help protect it a bit. A bit, not a lot, a bit. So next thing is, now the only thing there too, looking, these are the VORTEX motors, and I had a wee quick look there while I was doing stuff, and I noticed that the screws that come with the motors are only about 5mm, if even 5mm, let me see, 6mm. There's 6mm screws that come with the motors, but the problem is that this frame is 5mm, and whenever you get to through the frame, you're lucky if that protrudes. You're lucky if that really does come through 1mm, which I'm not happy about because the arms are 5mm thick. So just happens to be I have some screws here which are, they're actually stainless steel, so they're a bit heavier too, so it's going to add a wee bit of weight, but it's not going to, a couple of grams, it's not going to bother me. I'm not racing this thing, it's only for freestyle fun. So we're going to use these screws as well. Instead, these screws have got a Torx head, which means they'll be easier removed. It's the star shape of, and just means that they're 8mm long. Now I know people will say 8mm is a bit too long. I've checked it already. By the time I put this through here, and then with the actual base of the stator on the motor, it's almost 3mm, and it just barely protrudes, just barely protrudes. And I've checked it, doesn't go anywhere near the wires or near the windings, and everything stays clear. I'll take a wee picture here and insert the picture. Just give us a wee second. So you install your 4 motors. We'll get one done. So once you get the one done, same again. Once you have the one motor on, don't need to over tighten these or nothing now, we're just setting these on. We might need to remove them again, I don't know, so just put them on and give them a wee nick, not tight, just screw them on, stop, that's it, done. Once you get one done, then you want to get all 4 done. Right guys, there you go. So once you get the 4 motors on, you want to try and keep it all nice and neat and as tidy as you can, and depending on what ESC and flight controller stuff you're using, it depends. You might have ESCs on your arms, or you might have a 4-in-1. You want to try and bring your wires up and loop them around just as neat as possible, in below the flight controller or over the top of the flight controller, just whatever way is going to be the neatest and tidiest, and not touch anything, you know, as best as you can. So once you've done that, then the next thing you're going to want to do is, if I can find my wee cloth, this is what I use for my soldering tip, to clean the tip, the damp cloth. Just cleans it up like new. So you want to get your soldering iron. I run mine hot at 450. Once you do that, then you want to tin all the motor tabs on the flight controller. You want to tin every single one of them. Once you've tinned them all, then the trickier part is going to be to get your motor wires. Each of motor wires, the corresponding motors outputs, and you want to just double check the tin in your wires, and if needs be cut them back a little bit and re-tin. And this is the fiddly bit, guys. Depending on your setup, this is going to be the fiddlier bit. You want to try and keep it all nice and neat as possible. So take your time, don't try and rush it. Soldering can be an art. You might need to get yourself a pair of tweezers like I do here, and you always make sure you clean the tip of your iron in between times and re-tin it. Oh. Get your iron and clean it and give it a wee bit of a re-tin. Get your wire down, and once you're soldering, you sort of lay it on the wire and press down just lightly until it all melts together, and then lift it off. Ta-da! There's one done. Once you've done one, continue on with all the rest. You should have 12 in total. 3 wires for each motor. Do all of them. Right guys, there you go. So that's all 4 motors all now soldered on, all 12 wires done, and that's basically it. That's the hardest part of the build done. The wee wires in this particular build, soldering the wires, getting them looped down through and soldered on nice, neat and tidy was probably the hardest job of all, to be honest with you. It was a wee bit awkward, I have to say, just trying to bend them through, and the wires could have done on the motors with being a slightly 5 mil longer. You know, maybe it's just the way I done it. I could have just come straight up here and soldered on, but it went up round and looped underneath the board and up round on, if you know what I mean. That's just the way I did it. I just looped them. I'm just trying to be as neat as I can. Obviously the soldering could have been a wee bit tidier, but there's nothing wrong with soldering. The soldering job itself is actually perfect. Something that I've just completely forgot to do. Battery wire is dead easy. You want to get yourself one of your biggest soldering iron tips that you have. You want to get, because we're going to want a lot of heat fast, so you want to try and get a nice big heavy tip because you're using heavier gauge wire. Right, so we're going to tin our wires here. Already cut them the right length, nicely tinned on the positive, nice tin on the negative, and then also here now in on the flight controller, the positive and negative. The negative is going to be the hardest probably, but it might take alright. Took that on, there's the negative done. There's a positive done, dead easy. And now we're going to come in from the side on this one. So now that the wire's tinned and the ESC's tinned, just in case it's setting down the positive, and we'll heat it and we'll get it together. Ta-da! That's the positive on. Bring that to the inside of it, actually. Yeah, like that. Ta-da! Brilliant join, brilliant, perfect, perfecto. There we go. And we'll have our wires. We're good to go. Ta-da! So we're well clear of the air unit in there as well. So it is well clear of the air unit. Good job. So now that that's done, set the flight controller on. You can plug it in if you want. I have 4 plastic washers here, 3 small plastic M3 washers. I'll drop them down over the rubber jellies. 1, 2. This is going to be the biggest thing for anybody who's never built before, is knowing or having stuff to hand that you don't think of whenever you first start building. Whenever you first start building, you buy some stuff and then you think, oh, I could have done with this, or oh, I could have done with that, you know, I could have done with the other thing. 4 nuts. So the washers are on top of the wee jellies there, or rubber dampers, whatever you want to call them. And we'll screw down a wee nut. Don't need to go too tight, but just screw it down until it stops. Same again. Screw it down until it stops. Next one. Screw it down. That one's a bit tighter. Screw it down until it stops, hand tight. Then the last one, screw it down until it stops. Now, what I always do with these is I screw them down sort of hand tight, and then I give them an extra wee turn just to squash the rubber up just a little bit, but not too much. And then I'll get another nut, and what I'll do with the other nut is I'll put that down on top of the nut that I have already just fitted there, and I'll put it down, and I'll hold the other one. I'll hold the nut 5.5mm socket. So you want to hold the lower nut, get the socket on the top nut, screw it down and tighten it. Just hand tight, twist and turn until it locks up, and then do that for all 4. So that means you have 2 nuts at the top now. It's acting like, you could use lock nuts if you have nail lock nuts, M3 nail lock. You can probably screw that down and tighten it until it stops. But you want to screw that down, screw another one on top, and turn the 2 so that you lock the 2 nuts together, and that locks the 2 nuts in place. Do that for all 4. Once you've done that for all 4, that's it. You're almost good to go. Look, almost good to go. Not much more to do now, except for put the lid on it, program it, make sure everything's working as far as I can tell on the bench. Then we will get the props on and get outside for a test. But that's it, guys. That is it built. That is basically the quad now built. Stick your top plate on. Get your wee screws wherever I put them. Screws everywhere. Oh. Ta-da! Look at that! What a work of art. Look at the rim in that stack as well. Obviously it's going to be a bit tail heavy, I'd imagine it is, sitting back. It is a bit tail heavy, but maybe have to compensate. Obviously I'm going to get a GoPro out and put a GoPro on it still. Flying angle is about that at the minute. I would have liked it a wee bit more maybe. No, it's not too bad. That's okay. That's okay. That's alright. I just need to sort of finally go round it here a wee bit more, to have a wee double check of things, get it all hooked up to Beta Flight. I have already the goggles and the controller and the area all fully up to date. I connected a battery and I was able to do that without having the flight controller and everything. So everything's all up to date on the DJI side. The flight controller, I need to plug in and check the firmware on it and set it up and set up my failsafe and my mode switch and everything I want to set up on it, you know. But basically that is her built, guys. You could need a couple of wee cable ties and stuff on it here and there to tidy it up a bit. Get my straps on it, bit of grip on it, have a wee bit of grip here somewhere. Wee bit of grip. It's not a grip, but it's the same stuff, and it's like a fifth, not even, it's a tenth, the 100th of the price. It's phone cover, no, they're phone sticky pads for phones, for your car. Get them for £1 and you can cut 3 or 4 out of them. That's it, guys. The Rotor Riot Hd1 with the KAKUTE F7 HDV flight controller and the TEKKO ESC 4.1 ESC. Everything is all in there, built, almost ready to rock and roll. A few wee things to check up on it, and basically that's it. Ready to go. Good to go. Bob's your uncle. Yoo-hoo! Right, guys, listen, it's getting late here now. I'm going to fire on. If you like that anyway, I know it was a wee bit long and a wee bit dragged out, but if you did like that, make sure and join me for the next one, where I should be out. I'll have it tested, ready, and we'll get this thing out and we'll test it with the HD system and stuff, and we'll see how it flies. And like you see, a wee bit of DVR stuff from the DJI system. Although there's loads of that already online, you know, but not mine. Yo, that's it. Right, guys, take care. Thanks very much for watching, and we'll get you all again. Sorry, like I say, that did drag on a bit longer than what I was thinking, probably. But that's it, done now. We're done. We're dusted. We're ready to go, and happy days. Right, guys, take care. And we shall hopefully get you all again soon sometime. Right, thanks for watching. Bye. Shalom.